Hello, this is a follow-up video. I'm assuming that you've seen the video already on how to use the academic search. We are in really probably the last days of academic API being available. We'll see, maybe Twitter will change their mind, but I wanted to get this up really quick, sort of as a service to the community to help folks who, what I didn't talk about in that earlier video was getting place information and media information. Those are the two that people have asked about. So I'm going to show really quickly how to do that, or my version of how to do that. So this top part is all the same, but I'm going to start over, sort of restart the kernel, and just run through all of this. And so we import our authentication info, and then grab hoax tweets. This is basically the same as what I had before, but I want to note a few differences. One is that our expansions, instead of just having author ID, it's now a list that has attachments.mediakeys and geo.place ID. So this is, in other words, so if you remember from the other video, what Twitter returns, and therefore what TweetBeat returns, is not just tweets and information about the tweets, but it's the data, which is the tweets. And then if you want additional information, it puts that in separate locations, kind of separate dictionaries. And so we have media information in this case and geographic information. And so what those are, it doesn't, because lots of tweets don't have media, lots of tweets don't have geographic information. And so that only applies to the tweets that have it. And so, for example, the tweet will have something like a geographic ID, and then we have to go look up in this dictionary, or in this in the geographic information, that tweet. Or that geographic information if we want to get additional details. So that's the idea. So if you remember the length, so in this case I have limited to 2 with maximum of 500 in each. So these are 2 kind of response objects. We're going to combine them in a minute, but let's take a quick look at it. So if we look at the data, these are tweets. So this is the first tweet. By default, it kind of shows you the ID, the who or what the text is. Yeah, I guess that's it. And then there's also other information about it. I think we might be able to even get just here's the actual dictionary that goes along with it, right? So this is the kind of the default info. There's an ID, there's the text. Oh, edit history, interesting. I haven't seen that before. And then some public metrics about it. So if we look at another one, I don't know if we will find one that has, I kind of doubt we will. Oh, it looks like, okay, so the edit history always shows up and it just matches the tweet ID if it hasn't been tweeted or edited. Okay, so it looks like none of these have that additional information. We'll find some in a minute. If we look, for example, at this includes object, again, this is at the level of the response object that we got back. So we have the response object. The first one has data, which has a bunch of tweets, and it also has an includes, which has the users, places, and media. So if we look at media, for example, here's the first media. It has a key. So what type of media is it? And then all we got was the type, which is the photo. If you look up here, this is where that happens. So the media fields were just type. There are a few other options. You can look those up. For the place fields, we get the place type, the name, and the country. So we'll show those in a second. In fact, yeah, sure. Let's look at that. If we look at places, the first one, here's the ID for that. The full name is Wellington, Florida. Place type is the city, and the country is the United States. So often we might want to filter by the country. There's also an option for country code if you want that, for example. Okay, and then what we do, in the end, we often want those connected to a tweet, right? We want to know where a tweet occurred. We want to know what type of media a tweet has. So I show an example of how to do this. I'll make this notebook available. But what I do in this one is I just create for each response, right? So it's the level of the response. We have a user dictionary, a places dictionary, and a media dictionary, and then we just have to match those up. For each tweet, we check the user, places, and media dictionary if there's additional information about it, and we grab that additional information. So let's see quickly how that works. So for each response object in hoax tweets, for each user, so we're going through each of these 3 and creating these dictionaries. in the response that includes users, we create a user dictionary which has the information about them. So user.username, user.public metrics, their followers count, their tweets, etc. We do the same thing for places. So for each places, we create a new dictionary where the key, so the key to this first one is the user ID. The key to the second one is the location ID. The key to the third one is the media key. It's too bad they aren't named a little bit better, but there we are. And so each of these, so those are the keys that we want that match up. So there's a key in the includes object for media, for example, that will match up with a key in the tweet if there's media in that tweet. And so what we're going to do is kind of basically just combine those get the data we want out of that dictionary. So then that's what we do next. So now we have our 3 dictionaries created for this response, and then we go through the tweets. So we loop through the tweets. We create a dictionary for this tweet with the information we want from it. There's lots of different ways you could do this, so that what I realized is that each tweet can include more than one media object. And so I made this just a binary measure. Does it have a video? Does it have a photo? The other option that I saw, there may be more than this, the other one I saw is an animated GIF. And so you could also have, has GIF as another one. Or you could do these as a count of how many they have, etc. But I did it this binary way, whether it has video and whether it has photo. Okay, so now we go through and find the extra information. So for the author information, we take our user dictionary, which has additional information about authors, right? And we look up by the author ID that's in the tweet. So if you remember when we created this user dictionary, we stored the user ID as the key. So we basically have a dictionary of dictionaries where each user ID, in fact, let me show you. I'll run this really quick and show you what that looks like. User dictionary, here's what it looks like. Oh, maybe. Well, it's pretty big. Okay, so it's a dictionary where each dictionary item is another dictionary. So we have the key for each user and then data about that user. I'm sure these ones will be much smaller. So if we look at the places dictionary, right? So this is for each place, this is the place ID, the location ID, and then we have the information about that place. Okay. So we have those, and then we're looking them up. Oh, there we go. And then we grab the information we want. So now we grab the dictionary for the user we're looking for the author we're looking for, and then we update our dictionary about the tweet, our tweet dictionary about the tweet with information from the authors. If there's an attribute error, that means that author doesn't exist. They should actually all exist. I have this try and except here, but we shouldn't. In this case, all authors have additional information. That's not true of places and media. If there's not a geographic location connected, then we won't have place info, and same with media. Okay, so here we look up we try to get the dictionary about the place from the place ID. If that doesn't exist, in other words, if we can't find place ID, then it's a type error because tweet.geo is none. So we type error and it'll skip it. It'll just skip to the next section. But if it does exist, we add tweet location, tweet country, and tweet location type from the place info, from the dictionary for that key. And then finally we do the same exact thing for media keys, except in this case, it gives us a list. So even if there's just one, it's a list of one for all the media that's attached. And so what we do is we just loop through all of the media keys, which are attached to the tweet. And then if the media type, we grab the media type from that. If the media type is a photo, we change our Boolean for has photo to true. We change our Boolean to has video to true if the media type is a video. Yeah, that looks great. And then otherwise we pass it. And then we finally update, so we may have some of these, this tweet dictionary may be empty at this point, or it should at least have author information. It may have place information, and then we update it with the info we want. So we grab the author ID, tweet text, when it was created, et cetera, and then we also add these two Booleans, whether it has a photo and whether it has a video. And then I'm going to show you what this looks like. Let's just get rid of that. Here's our final data frame. So we have the username, the author followers, author tweets, author description, author location, author ID. Where's that letting me scroll? create text or create it out, retweets, replies, etc. And then it also has photo. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. Apologies. I don't know why it's not letting me scroll it. So this is true or false, tweet location, tweet country, tweet location type. These are all missing because for all of these it doesn't have it. So we might, for example, want to filter to only those that have location. If you are doing location work with Twitter, I mean, it's just as a warning, it's very rare that people include locations with their tweets. And so you're going to get sort of a biased sample. Depending on your question, that can be fine. So let's do df.tweet country equals United States. Okay, so here are the ones from the United States. You can see, yeah, filter to those. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully you all continue to have access to the Twitter API, but hopefully this is helpful for at least the next few days and you get your data collected.